so I know you still use LinkedIn. Frigate, is it? The extension? Yeah. But we want to talk about sourcing outside of LinkedIn. I work with a lady called Irina Shemeva. Did you see Irina last year? My Russian colleague. So I came into Moscow on Sunday. We did some training at Mail RU offices. I also do some research work in London and in America. So we do mapping of target companies. So we go find everybody, and we do some kind of interesting projects as well. So on top of training, I also do regular recruitment. I spent 12 years in a IT agency, so I'm not just a talker. I'm a doer as well. But let's talk about outside of LinkedIn, because I want to give you some tips. I want to give you some stuff to take away that you can use to find additional candidates. We all want to find additional candidates, right? It's a tough market, Russia, very competitive, yeah? Everybody in here is fighting against each other in a nice way. Okay. So the first thing I would say when we talk about outside of LinkedIn is not to worry. Okay? Really don't worry. I'll tell you a quick story. Does anybody know when LinkedIn started? What year did LinkedIn start? 2003. Yeah, it was founded in 2002, and then started in 2003. So we didn't have a problem recruiting before LinkedIn. There was no problem. We just didn't have it. Anybody in here was recruiting before 2003? Just me? You make me feel really old. So I started in 1999, and my biggest customer was Dell Computers. You know Dell Computers? You know that? You from Dell? Okay. So Dell in Bracknell in the UK, and you know, I had this job, and I only did contract work. And so the guy at Dell said, I need a guy with Oracle 10G, RAC, Rapid Application Clusters, Linux, and there was another skill as well. Really hard requirement. And I looked on our database. We didn't have LinkedIn, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have anything. We had a database and we advertised, okay? So I looked on our database, tried different words, this, that, this search, advertised everywhere, spent a lot of money on adverts. Not one person at all. So in those days we had a great big monitor, that big, remember? Those? No, you don't remember, do you? We had these big monitors this big, and in the corner of the room we had one internet machine. We didn't have internet. We had one internet machine, and it had a cover over the top, right? So I tried everything, and I went to the machine, I took the cover off, and I put RAC, Oracle 10G, Linux into the internet to see what happened, okay? And the first hit was Amazon for a book. And I looked at that and I thought, okay, so there's a book, somebody's written a book on it, and there was two names on who'd written the book. And so I thought, well, I'll take the names and I'll go back to my database. And I put the two names into my database, and they were both there. Both of these guys who'd written this book with all these 4 hard technical skills. And there was a telephone number and an email address, and I looked at where they lived, and Bracknell is near London, and one guy lived in a place called Wokingham, which is 2 miles from where Dell are. And he'd written this, I thought he can't be the same guy. But I picked up the phone, I said, are you the guy that wrote the book on RAC, Linux, 10G? Yes, he said, I am. I said, I've got a job at Dell Computers 2 miles away. Are you interested? And he said, yes. Anyway, he went for 4 interviews, and he turned the job down. And it was £750 a day contract. And he went to work for Intel, and he's still there. So I'm happy for him, but I wasn't happy for me. But that was my first lesson in sourcing, if you like, is that if I just think database, then I'm not going to find people elsewhere, right? If I go to the internet and I can take something from there and look in there, then maybe I can find other people. And that was the first day that I went into sourcing, when I thought that was quite exciting. So anyway, don't worry, be happy. Don't worry about LinkedIn, it's just another platform. So without LinkedIn, it means that you become a better sourcer, I think, because you need better skills, right? In the UK, in the US, some people only use LinkedIn. That's terrible. And that's a bit boring, I would say. So I think you need extra skills to look outside of LinkedIn. And that's good. I think even though recruiters still use LinkedIn, I think candidates probably now in Russia will not update their profiles. Are you seeing this already? They will become a little bit old, so they're not going to update their profiles. You can be a bit more creative, I think, with your sourcing. And so I'm going to show you some examples today of being creative, okay? And I want you to be creative, and I know you're going to come up with some difficult questions for me. The more difficult the question, the better for me, okay? It wasn't a massive coverage in Russia anyway, in LinkedIn. You know, it wasn't one of the biggest sites. Profiles are shallow. You know what I mean by that? So if you need a Java in St. Petersburg with this or that, if you put that into, people don't have that on their profile all the time. So they're shallow anyway. They do not contain the keywords that you search for sometimes. So you have to be a bit creative. It's expensive, right? It's £500 a month. LinkedIn Recruiter, for me. That's a salary. And you can spend more time in more resourceful places. Places where IT people go. Yeah? And I do think that, you know, I see in the UK and the US and places that people do a keyword search, they look on LinkedIn, they look at the top 2 or 3 profiles, yes, they've got keywords, I'll send that message to that person. And what is that message? The message is, here's a job, are you interested? Okay, boring, boring, boring. What kind of response rates do you get from that? Not good, okay? So I want you to think of the internet as your database, okay? The internet is your database. So what I'm going to try and tell you today is sorry, it's a bit sexist, it should be give a man or a woman a fish. And you know this expression? Yeah? It's very, very true. So, should we go down the rabbit hole of let's having a look where else we can go? So this is my favorite movie, The Matrix. You want the blue pill or the red pill? Blue pill is LinkedIn, red pill is everything else. So let's have a look at what the internet is and let's try and understand it so that we can work out how to use it, okay? I'm going to show you the tools of how to use search on the internet. So there are 60 trillion web pages. Maybe there's 61, I wrote this last week, so maybe there's another trillion or so. There are 60 trillion web pages. And what we want to do as recruiters is we want to filter from 60 trillion to find the one person for our job, right? So we need to know how to do that. So you know the expression indexes, Google indexes, same as Yandex indexes. So when you put a search into a search engine, whatever that search is, and you look at the results, that is what happened when Google went to the website and took the information. Yeah, you know the term spiders and bots? This is what Google does. So it visits a website, it takes the information. So it's not necessarily fresh, it's not up-to-date information. But it is what happened when Google or Yandex or Bing extracted the information. So we have this thing called surface web. You know these expressions as well? Deep web, private web, dark web. Okay, so different layers of what you can find. We're not going to talk about the dark web. We don't need to go there. There's enough information, private web and deep web. So private surface web is all the stuff that you see, really easy. The deep web are sites like VK, LinkedIn, Facebook, where you need a login to see more information, okay? So we can find a lot of stuff there. So if the internet is your database, then Google and Yandex are your tools to search. Anybody here a Boolean expert? Okay. Is Boolean new to anybody? Anybody not use Boolean? Yeah? Okay. So we have these things called operators and syntax. It all sounds very geeky, but they're just ways of filtering the 60 trillion pages into what we want to see. So here's some examples. I'll give you, you're going to get these slides, so you can have all of these links and stuff that I'm going to send you. And they all do different things. They just filter the information into what we want to see. The secret is to knowing what to use and when, and what words, what phrases, and where to search. But as complicated as it looks sometimes, you see these Boolean strings, you think, my God, what is this? What is it like? It's like maths, it's like going back to school, it's like algebra, you know? But it's not complicated at all. All it is and, or, and not. Okay? Java and Moscow, not recruiter. Okay? That's all it is. And, or, and not. Cats and dogs. Cats or dogs. Cats, not dogs. So these are the ones, there are lots of them, but these are the ones in Google that you will mostly use. You familiar with these? You've seen these before? So site looks within a specific website. Site, and then the name of the site, and it will point its search into that particular site. Related looks for similar. I'll give you examples of all of these. EXT or file type looks for file types, looks for Word documents, PDF, XLS, code. IT people's code you can look for, did you know? The asterisk, I call it an asterisk, you know, it says put in a word. And it might seem like a small thing, but I'll show you that it's not a small thing at all. In URL, so it looks within the web, within the URL, within the web address. And then in title, it looks at the title of the web page. Okay? So if you're going to be an IT recruiter, you kind of need to do this techie stuff, right? So site. This is a real simple example. But do I have a laser? Yeah. So here's site. So this event, okay, so the name of the website. This could be any website you like. Point my search towards this site and then look for that phrase. Okay, so this is what it does. So what can you do with this? How can you make this interesting? I'll give you some more examples, but so if I put a real simple search, okay, Java, this is me in English, by the way, you would do this much better than I will. Java programmers, St. Petersburg, Russia, that's not a difficult search, right? What do I find? I find sites like Upwork. But what happens then, look, if I look at Upwork and then it says /0, I don't know what that means, /profiles. Profiles is what? What is a profile? Is a person, right? So therefore my next search is profiles, users, Petersburg, and then here. So I'm now finding people. Okay, so I do a basic search and I learn from my search and then I change it. I can't say this. Hubba hubba. Hubba. But if I do a first search here, look within the site and then a couple of keywords, then I can see, look, post, company, discussions, stuff that I don't want to see, okay? But then if you notice here, we've got users. So /users. So then my next search is what? That one, yeah? /users. Yeah? So this is how you start creating your strings to look in places for people that you want to find. The keywords are up to you. You put in whatever keywords you like. And the secret of this is what keywords do you use, what phrases do you use. Is this new to everybody or? Yeah. Some people. So another example. So I'm looking for places IT people go, right? Outside of LinkedIn. Let's forget LinkedIn. IT people never spoke in LinkedIn anyway, really, did they? It was never really a good place. Some groups were okay, but generally not. IT people like to talk to other IT people about IT. So they go to forums, they discuss IT in these places. So I just put the word discussions, Ruby, Rails. Anyone here recruit Ruby and Rails a lot? Because there's lots of examples for Ruby and Rails. And then site. So site doesn't have to be a website. It can be RU for Russia. Okay. So look at what we're getting. We're getting these big, long set of results of where IT people are discussing IT. Okay. Good places to source, right? Related, remember I said related, so related looks for similar websites. So related, this one that we found, finds all these other places. Do you know these ones? Anybody go in here? Anybody source from any of these websites? No? Why not? These are where your candidates go. These are where your candidates are talking about IT. What you do in these sites is another question, but this is where they go. It works for most, it doesn't, relatedvk.com gives me similar websites. It's actually really clever operator from Google because it looks at the words in a website and gives you similar websites based on the words. So if they're talking about Python programming, it will give you other Python programming websites. Cool, huh? You must always use related, and then I call it a colon, the 2 dots, and then no spaces, then the website, and you must do .com, .net, .ru. You must do it that way, otherwise it won't work. Okay? So the next one, ext. You can write ext or you can write file type. Doesn't make any difference. It's exactly the same. And you can find all this stuff. So here, for example, CVs are often HTML format, especially for IT guys, right? Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoints, Word documents, and everything else here. So you can we find conference lists of big long lists of all IT people who went to a conference by looking for Excel spreadsheets or PDFs. Okay? Presentations, that kind of thing. So example. So this is somebody, I wrote this 2 weeks ago, I've forgotten what it means. This is somebody's name, right? Sergey? So why have I put a name in here? Why would I put a name? What do you think? Yeah. What I'm trying to do is I'm thinking about, if I look at a spreadsheet with lots of names of IT people and all their email addresses, what is it likely to have in it? And it's likely to have a name. So I've just picked a name. If I use Peter, I get a different spreadsheet. Yeah? But I'm trying to imagine how this spreadsheet will appear on the internet. And we get all this stuff, but by the fact that I've put email in as well, you could put gmail.com, Yandex, you could put these emails, and you will find these spreadsheets, okay? Loads of stuff that you will find. Big long lists of candidates that nobody else is talking to. You can search in source code. So we're all looking for developers, right? All looking for people that write code. So we can use all of these. When you get this presentation, you just click on here and it will give you the full list of all the code that you can search for. So file type .cs looks for C# code. File type .cs gmail.com, what are you going to find? Probably the email address of a C# developer with some of their work. Why do we want to look at some of their work? Well, we can talk to them when we message them about their work. Not here's a job, are you interested? It's, I looked at your code, it looks really good, it's similar to what we're using. Can we talk? Do you think that's better? So there's an example, okay? So file type, CPP, 3D render, gmail.com. And you can see that we're going to look at GitHub tomorrow, Stack Overflow tomorrow. We also look at LinkedIn tomorrow and a few hacks. So even though this is outside of LinkedIn, there's a few hacks I can share with you for tomorrow. As an example. So you can see how all these things are quite interesting, and depending on what order you do and what words you do. And the asterisk, this little tiny little thing, but it's one of the most powerful tools that you can use, because all the asterisk does is say, I don't know what the word is, Google, you put the word in. You fill in the gap. Okay? So if I write, is a Java developer at, then it will fill in here where they are a Java developer at. Another example of the asterisk. So everybody wants to find email addresses, right? Instead of sending an email like we used to. So here. Sorry, is anyone here from Cognitive? But if I'm now using the speech, so email, find the word email. I don't know what the next bit is. I want you to tell me, Google. And then this is the place that I'm interested in. But I'm going to put it in speech marks because I want you to find it all together. Yeah? So we now know the email pattern for Cognitive. Surname, underscore, first initial. So I don't have to send an email anymore. I can just find their email address. We'll talk tomorrow about what your messaging should be and how to get a response, because that's just as important as all this stuff, yeah? In URL and in title. So in URL looks in the web address, here, and in title looks in here, in the title of the web page. So slightly different things, okay? There are more operators, but these are the main ones. These are the main ones that you can use successfully. So Google and Yandex have we call them synonyms. So if I put the word developer, it will see development, developing, developed. LinkedIn never does that, still does not do that. If I put developer into LinkedIn, it will only find the word developer. So I have to go or in LinkedIn. Whereas Google and Yandex are really helpful, that they will put extra synonyms in. So sometimes I put words in speech marks if I want exact, and then other times I don't, because I just want to leave it. So, other things that Google can do is that you've got these, and Yandex, of course, is that you've got these things called tools. So I'd recommend you just press buttons, okay, to see what they do. So if I go within this particular site where Ruby developers are talking, and I put in this is quite a rare skill for Ruby, and I click on Tools Past Month, I can see current discussions about this, okay? Which means I can talk to them about their particular discussions. Did anybody use this? No? Good? As in, it's new? Yandex has different options. There's lots of stuff to learn, I'm sorry. There's lots of stuff to learn. But Yandex is different to Google, which is different to Bing. Okay? But there are some really powerful things within Yandex that you can do. So that they still have site, same as Google, but there are some slight differences. So proximity. I use Yandex to recruit in England because I have this proximity thing. Whereas the / and then the number 2 means that word within 2 words of that word. So again, it depends on what your phrase is that you put in there. But isn't that useful? So I graduated, sorry, this is just me using Google Translate. You could probably do much better, but that word within 2 words of that word within 4 words of that word. Yeah? Can you see how powerful this could be? But sometimes you don't need to worry about any of that. Sometimes if you use a phrase that people would use when they write about themselves, then you would find people. So I write in Python, yeah? That's not a difficult search, is it? But it's just thinking about what people would cite, are you? That would spread my search even further, okay? Makes sense? Once you've created your string here, you can use things like alerts. So if I'm always looking for Python developers in St. Petersburg from these companies, then I write my string, I create my alerts, and every time that appears on the internet, I get an email. So instead of going searching every time, it's coming in to you. You always have enough people to talk to. So there's anybody use Google custom search engines? Yeah? Hey, 1. Well done. Good man. The reason he uses Google custom search engines is because I can do lots of different websites. So I can go GitHub, Stack Overflow, 50 or so, create a Google custom search engine, and it will search every time for free, instead of doing one website. It's completely free to do. And there's a list, so we have created some ones for you here, some free ones. Okay? I think the wrong question is, how do I find something with 5 to 10 years experience in this? I think that's the wrong question. I think the right question is, if I were a Python programmer in St. Petersburg, where would I go? Where do I go online? Where do I talk to my other IT people? Okay, I think that's the right question. Do you ask your candidates where do they go? Where do you hang out online? Where do you share your work? Where would you go to get a job? Where do they go to get a job? It's not Headhunter anymore, is it? Where do you network with other? I would ask them these questions. I used to bug my candidate. Where do you go? Facebook or VK? Who recruits on Facebook and VK? Who sources? Okay. So what? Facebook, VK, Facebook and VK. Okay. So that's good, because in the West, a lot of people think it's private space, you know, but they're the biggest platforms, so why not? Why not? But again, I think it depends on what your message is. You know, you can scare people, you can put people off badly if you use the wrong message. But we know that we can search. Yeah, so if I put people who live in St. Petersburg and like Java, I get 0 results. You tried this? You know, you can ask these questions in Facebook. So it depends on how you ask the question. The way I would recommend you use Facebook is to use this free tool here. Okay, anybody use it already? No? So completely free. So you just put in here whatever you like. You notice he's got LinkedIn and Twitter now as well. So this will search LinkedIn as well for you, even though we're talking about outside of LinkedIn. So I get a ton of results in Facebook by using this tool. I can message anybody for free in Facebook. And I can include files, I can include photos, I can include documents, I can include videos. So tomorrow I'll talk about this more, but what is your message going to be? A couple of months ago, we did some work for a big IT company, and they said, we're not going to send any job descriptions. The message is going to be, we're going to invite them to a hangout. a lunchtime hangout so they can look around the office and they can ask any question they like of another technical person on their phone. No interview, no recruiters, a hangout. Fantastic response from IT people. You can put anybody's email or anybody's number into Facebook and it will show you their profile. So if I find an Excel spreadsheet with a bunch of emails from people that went to this conference, and then I put them into Facebook, there I can see everything that they do. Is this scary or? A little hack for you for Facebook. I know we love hacks. If I do a search and I look here, then I can see a number. This number here is the profile number of the person. I'm looking for the word Java. So I'm looking, if I find somebody, they look really good, the chances are that person is friends with other Java people, right? You're friends with people who you work with, IT people in particular. So I can just use a little hack and I can see who this person is a friend with. So how do I get this number? I just right-click, inspect the element on the profile, and then if I just search here, UID, then that's the number. And then I can use the previous one and put it in there. Okay? You know stalk face? So you put anybody's Facebook in here, it will show you all the photos they've been tagged in, the places they've been, the events. You don't have to be friends with them or anything. Particularly good for events, I think. IT events. Group search. You use group search in VK, yeah? So like 19,000. This is great, brilliant stuff. Message, there's all the members, click on them, send them a message. You don't have to use these sites, I don't think, to send messages. The other way is to look at the kind of person that they are and then send them an email, maybe, but based on the information you found out. If they're interested in sports or this or that, then you tailor your message based on this. You don't have to use these sites to message, I don't think. Document search, CV gets lots of results. Could be lots of other examples. But again, like Facebook, what would you send? What is your message going to be? It cannot be, here's a job, are you interested? It cannot be. Anybody use Zoom Info? Free. So there are 304,000 people in Russia, quite senior IT people, I think, in Zoom Info, but you get a certain amount of free credits. It understands CTO is Chief Technology Officer, so it's quite clever. But now we know to use site. Why not use site to Zoom Info /P person? Okay, so you see how this is all coming together? And then the name of a company. Pipple, anybody use Pipple? It's quite scary. Try it yourself, put your name in, it will show you a lot of information you didn't realize was online. What do I mean? Reverse lookup, what do I mean by that? So again, you could put an email in here, a username. IT people use the same username often, yes? So put it in here and it will show you, here they are on social media, this place, this place, this place, this place. Which document sharing company did LinkedIn buy? Anybody know? SlideShare. That's 2 answers for you already. Yeah. So people have uploaded their CV to LinkedIn via SlideShare. Yes? But you see it on here on LinkedIn, you see the image of their CV, you've all seen this. But you cannot find it on LinkedIn. You can't search for those CVs via LinkedIn. If I search here, that word, it doesn't come up with any results because it's an image. It's a CV image. But what can we do with that? Site, use site again. Site, SlideShare do not. here's the results from here. So these tools, you can use them in all different places. If you think about the different options, that LinkedIn bought SlideShare, I'll X-ray SlideShare. If people have uploaded their CVs to LinkedIn, to SlideShare, then that's what I'm going to use. If you go to Google and then click on images and you click on black and white, you'll see all of the CVs that have been uploaded via LinkedIn. So even if you find somebody on LinkedIn, you can actually find their mobile number on their CV, which means you don't have to send an email and wait like other recruiters do. You pick up the phone. So in Moscow on Tuesday, I was at the Mail.ru. Is anyone here from Mail.ru? Good. So I was there, and I saw people wearing these T-shirts, Geek Week. Yeah. And I thought, what, Geek Week? It said Geek Week 2016. This was in the canteen for lunch. They were wearing these T-shirts. I thought, what are these T-shirts? That's quite interesting. You know, is this a place where IT folks go? But so I went onto the website, which you can't read, and it says, "Tell your friends." So I thought, well, if there's something called Geek Week and they're advertising it on VK and Facebook, then if I go there, then I can find the people who've been to this conference. So if I go to vk.com, I find 1,000. So the Geek Week is for young programmers to come and learn. So I guess you guys are interested in younger programmers as well as experienced. So you know, if you're interested in that, do you know about this? So there's 1,072 just in VK. I haven't been to Instagram. I haven't searched Geek Week in Instagram or anywhere else. Even if I go to Twitter, hashtag Geek Week 2006. You guys use Telegram more, right? More than Twitter. So I haven't searched Telegram, but if I just put in the hashtag, so I find Alexander. You know, he's quite a funny guy. And if I just click on Alexander, then I go into his GitHub. Here he is on GitHub. It gives me some stuff to talk to him about, music lover. Okay? So I'm not going to talk to him about my job. I might want to talk to him about music. I might want to talk to him about his funny tweets. You know? There's his email. There's his blog. Here's the work that he's done. I can talk to him about his work. Here's his followers. Here's some work that he's uploaded, and 1.1 thousand people have liked that particular bit of work that he's uploaded. So there's all stuff I can talk to him about. So I just joined. I used my VK, and I just joined. There's a forum as well. So it's never ending. You open one door, and there's another 100 doors. And then, of course, using Site again. Geekbrains uses Python. 4,000. So there are enough candidates, right? So I think, I've got 9 minutes. So I think to summarize, I would say, be an expert on search engines, know these operators, and then have some fun with that. But you do need to know how to search the internet, because Google and Yandex are the first door for the next 100 doors. Anywhere that people go is a place to source. How many videos on YouTube are there about Python programming that people have commented on? If they comment about a video, they must know about it, right? They must have an opinion about it. So you can be interested in where you go. Be inquisitive and look for T-shirts. Empathetic. You know the word empathy. what would make you respond? You know? Are you going to respond as a recruiter? If I send you saying, recruit a job in St. Petersburg, working for this company, sourcing candidate, doesn't work, does it? If it said it's $200,000 a year, it might do, yeah? Be creative. You know, go to the various places, do different things. We'll talk a lot more about this tomorrow for the messaging thing. Try new things, be a bit different. Thank you. Any questions? Anyone got any questions? Yeah. Shout. Sorry, she's just leaving.
Please don't ask questions without the microphone because there is a record.
Hi, my name is Vasily. I'm from EPAM.
Hi.
I have a couple of questions. First is about search engines. Did you notice recently that both Yandex and Google would show you not the results you want to find, but the results that they want to show you because they get money for that? So what can be any alternative search engines?
Okay. Well,
that's the first question. And the second question is about Facebook messaging. Because when you're sending a message to someone who is not your friend, it gets into some hidden folder of incoming messages, and they not usually check it. I know it by myself because when someone sends me a message, I do not get a notification about that. So how would you make sure that everyone gets your message?
Okay.
Thanks.
So the first question, you're right, and so you would get, if I use google.co.uk, I would get different results to google.ru. Okay, but if you go into your settings, you can change it. You can change your settings so you have no personalization at all. Okay, that's one way of doing it. The next way is to use it under tools, other options. You have a word in English or in Latin. It's called verbatim, V-R-B-A-T-I-M. Verbatim means forget what you recommend Google. Just show me exactly what I've put in my search. I don't know about Yandex. Okay. So that would be the way to get around. If you use a word in Google, like developer, like I showed here, it will give you all the different other words. If you put that word in speech marks, it should give you that exact word. And the same for a phrase. If it's more than one word, you put speech marks around the whole phrase, and it will give you that exact thing. For Facebook, if you're a member of the same group, you can message, and it will. So what he was saying is that if I send a message to somebody in Facebook, you have two inboxes. So when you get the red one and you see a message from your friend, that's the normal one, and there's a spam one as well, which people just don't see. Okay? The way around that is to either pay, which you can, and we have, and it costs like less than £1, which is okay. Or if you join the same group. If you're in the same group as somebody, you can message for free. There was a hack where you could take their number and you could work out their email address, but it's not playing very nicely. If that changes, I'll let you know. But join the group. Okay.
Okay, any more questions?
You come back tomorrow?
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Daria. I'm from EPAM, and I have a question about your creative style of messaging. Your thought is clear, but not. I have a question about your personal life hacks and maybe your usual efficient ways of communication. For example, you noticed in the profile some words or characteristics, and you use it. Could you please give us a couple of examples?
Yeah. So there'll be a lot more examples tomorrow. So you have to come tomorrow. In the West, in America, they've gone crazy. Okay, so that their messaging now is anything other than a job. Seriously, it's like what movies you like, what sports do you play, and if you think about when we message, like an electronic message as opposed to a telephone, I prefer telephone. Do you do that in Russia? You prefer to use the phone, or is it a bit? You like, but you probably have to have an invitation from somebody to speak on the phone, because if you phone a developer and they're in a big open plan office and their phone rings and it's a recruiter, it's difficult for them to talk, right? So you probably ask to have a conversation. I'll talk a lot more about it tomorrow, but what I personally do, my initial message is not ever about the job. It's just to have that telephone conversation. It's purely to get their interest. So we do pick up things like music lover and all this kind of thing, but there's an example tomorrow in GitHub, and tomorrow I'll show you how to find anybody's email address in GitHub. But the example tomorrow is, and bearing in mind we're talking about IT people, there's a hack to find anyone's email address. So my subject line, if I ever do that, is I found your email address in the source code of your GitHub profile. To an IT person, are they going to read the next bit of my message? Probably. And then that part of that message is purely an invitation to talk to them. I think the big message for messaging is, if I don't know about the person, if I just have a job that I'm looking to fill, and I don't know anything about that person, it's wrong for me to assume that the job is correct. So if I can have a conversation with them about them, and they're not just what their technical skills are, but where do they want to live, how much do they want to earn, what do they want to do, all these kinds of questions. If I can have that conversation, it's possible that they match my job, but I'm not going to assume that they are. I'm not going to lead with that job until I've got that information. So the whole point of messaging for me is about, let's have a chat.
Okay. Please.
Hello, my name is Natalia. I am from SOTA Systems, St. Petersburg, and I just interested about your opinion about job sites. What do you think about them?
Job sites.
Yeah.
Okay. I think as sourcers, I see a lot of people who are arrogant and who think, I'm not going to use a job site. I'm just going to be clever. I'm just going to. I don't want to dismiss any site if it's a place where my candidates go. So I made a contractor placement 2 months ago, and I used Indeed. You don't have Indeed here in Russia, but the LinkedIn profile said hardly anything, but the Indeed profile said a lot about this woman. And I said to her, why are you using Indeed, not LinkedIn? She goes, oh, I just thought that's where all the recruiters went. So because she, as a candidate, thought that this is the place to go, I should, as a recruiter, not dismiss it. I'd just go where the candidates go. Okay? And there's a lot of great information. People give off their salaries and all this kind of thing on their CVs. There's more information. Normally, they have to put a CV on these sites. So why not? Why not? I don't think we should dismiss them. You know, I don't know the websites that you have in Russia, but in the UK we have we have a website called JobSite, which is really good for senior IT people, and then we have another one called CW Jobs, which is good for kind of middle to lower, and they're all different. So no, I don't. I would use whatever resource is available to you.
Thank you. One more question if we have. Okay then. Thank you.
Thank you.